Today we're going to cover an angling system. I'm well aware that this is not the only angling system out there. They're kind of hard to keep track of because everybody's got their own. This is just the one we use the majority of the time here at the Band of Brothers Martial Arts Group. So we're going to start off, I'm going to show this stationary. We're going to call it the fondo. Pick a lead, whichever one you want. This would be our opening strike, and then this would be a closing strike. Closing because I'm closing in towards my leg. This is opening towards the side of my body. So I'm going to pick my right foot and I'm going to keep it forward. I'm going to stay stationary for this first time through. We're going to cut a diagonal down, angle 1, diagonal down, angle 2, a horizontal, angle 3, horizontal, angle 4. Palm up thrust is 5 in the midsection. Palm up thrust backhand would be 6. Rotate it. Palm down thrust is 7. I like to point out you take the tip of your stick and you drop it down and you wind a backhand vertical shot in for 8. Uppercut, diagonal backhand for 9. Uppercut, diagonal forehand for 10. Diagonal down at the knee, and then diagonal down at the knee is 12. So that would be the open side. If I run it as a closed side, it's the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now in this one here, it gets a little bit awkward. So one of the things that Guru Rick Faye told me is once it hits the head, it'll bounce different directions. So if it bounces and goes this way, that is your 9. If it bounces and goes over here, that is your 9. So this is going to go down here. This is my 9. This is 10. Down for 11. And down for 12. We're going to stick with just those 12 angles for right now, but that doesn't mean that there aren't counts that have 15, 17, 48. Right now we're going to just stick with these 12. So once you do them with your right hand, you can do them all with your left hand. You can do this a couple different ways. One, you can just mirror it. Okay, so this is my angle 1 on the right side, this being the angle 1 on the left side. You just run through the exact same pattern, but with the left hand. Or you can do the same side. So if this is my angle 1 on the right, then this is still an angle 1 on the left. Then you run through it this direction here. 5. That is now 6. That is 7. There's my 8. Uppercut 9, 10, 11, and 12. So with that, you can also train your offhand if you only have one stick by doing a dos manos grip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's a good way of getting reps on both sides at the same time in that sort of mirrored, or not mirrored, but in that sort of following pattern. Now, the cool thing about the angles of attack is it doesn't have to just be the slashes, okay? And it certainly doesn't have to be stationary. I'm trying to do this so I can make sure I maintain conversation. But you should be able to work all of your footwork patterns into the 12 angles as you run through them. So as we're running through these, instead of going through the different footwork patterns, because we've covered that in previous videos, we're going to cover different options for your sticks. So right now we're covering just the slashes, which would be lobtiks, okay? The next one we would cover would be witik. Okay, with the witiks, we've covered it before with snaps. We've also covered it with abanikos. I'm going to start with the snaps. So I have a snap angle 1, a snap angle 2. When I mean snap, I'm not drawing all the way through beforehand. I'm hacking it, bringing it back, and then transferring it over. During that transfer over, usually is when I move my feet, okay? But you hack 1, hack 2, hack at 3, hack at 4. The 5, the 6, the 7, we're going to keep as thrusts. 8, I'm going to hack up top. 9, I'm going to hack down here. 10, I'm going to hack down here. 11, I hack at the knee. And 12, I hack at the knee. Again, should be done left-handed. Now, abaniko sides. I fan witik this shot. I fan witik that shot, fan the 3, fan the 4, thrust, 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 that's 7, fan the 8, fan the 9, fan the 10, fan the 11, and fan the 12. Then we're going to cover the thrusts of everything. Okay, so I can thrust angle 1. Okay, it looks an awful lot like 7. Thrust angle 2, looks an awful lot like a 6. I can thrust the 3, thrust the 4, thrust the 5, the 6, the 7. On 8, I like to go over the top, so 8 like so. I've also taught it where it's a puño thrust, and you're hacking down over the top. When I was talking with Eric Paulson, he calls it the kadoink, or the kathunk, so you hit him like the puño shot. So it's either here or here for 8. 9 is either here or here like a saber draw. 10 will be the thrust here. 12, either down here, again, with the butt of the weapon, or you hook it down. And I'm sorry, that was 11. And then 12, you hook down here with the diagonal down. So that's thrust every shot. Then we do another one. This again has a bunch of different names. We have arca, we have flourette, we have baklow, but we're going to cover angle 1 and angle 1, angle 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, and 11, 12, and 12. So we've covered the baklows. Now, next one we're going to do is redondos. It's a little different, but it looks very similar. So if I'm sticking with angle 1, I'm going to turn it this way actually. If I'm doing the 1, the baklow hits that center line or that target, and it retracts and hits the same thing again. The angle, the redondo version of this, it blows through that center line and it hits the same thing again. So I either hit it and retract it, or I blow through it and come back on the other side. So on the same side. So here's 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, and 12, and 12. Depending on the weapon you choose to be moving, if you have a normal length stick, you can make these as long as you'd like. If you have a much heavier weapon, you definitely need to make these redondos bigger motions. But if you happen to have a smaller weapon like a knife, the motion is much, much tighter. You don't want to get into a habit of swinging a knife as if it were a stick, because then you're going to get your arm way out here and it's going to be wide open. So after we do our redondos, we tend to go into the combinations of the two. The easiest combination is the thrust to slash. So you thrust this in, you slash it through. You thrust this in, you slash it through. That's 2. Thrust the 3, slash out. Thrust the 4, slash out. 5, 6, and 7, you can always thrust and slash, thrust and slash, thrust and slash if you'd like. 8, either here and then cut, or here and then cut. 9, either hook this thrust up and then turn it out and cut, or hook this puño thrust in and then continue to rake that thrust through. 10, thrust and slash. 11, I thrust down like so, or I hack down like so. So I thrust and I turn it and slash, or I thrust and I cut up and slash, or I hack and slash, and then 12, down, and then slash. So after you've done your thrust to slash, you can do your slash to thrust, okay? This one I tend to not hit the same angle. So whereas if I hit the 1 to the 1, when we do our slash to thrust, I tend to slash 1, thrust 2, slash 2, thrust 1, slash 3, thrust 4, slash 4, thrust 5. 5, we're going to go ahead and thrust. 6, we're going to thrust. 7, we're going to thrust. 8, we're going to slash and then thrust. 9, we slash and then thrust. 10, we slash and thrust. Slash 11 and thrust. Slash 12 and thrust. All right. So that's just a couple options to try and work your 12 angles of attack into your shadowboxing, especially since you don't need a ton of space to work these. This is a great time for you to focus instead of just kind of slashing through them as fast as you can because you're trying to get to all the harder work in class. This is a great time to really focus on making these lines tight, making the angles look good as you make them happen. Okay? Get your body mechanics involved. So thank you very much.